Awesome. Okay, sounds good. Good morning, everybody. My name is Desiree Ansela. I'm one of the co-chairs for the Chamber's Emerging Leaders group here, and we're so excited you are all here this morning on this nice spring day. I am the promotional sales account executive for the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal. And I'm very excited about this topic because I'm really interested in how this event is going to be impacting our city, and also we haven't really had any large events to talk about in the past 2 years, so I'm really excited to start talking about these types of things again. As you're entering the meeting, everyone will be muted, but please feel free to keep your video on so I can see you, so our speaker can see you. There will be time at the end to engage in questions, but please, if you have a question that pops up in your mind throughout the presentation, submit it in the chat, and then we will get to it at the end. This webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a link to the recording in your post-event email. We also want to take some time to thank our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't be able to provide these events. Our presenting sponsor, Xcel Energy, our premier sponsor, Wells Fargo, our supporting sponsor, McGough, and our media sponsor, the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal. During the event today, please engage with us on social media. The handle is @MPLS Chamber, and then also using our hashtag MPLS Emerging Leaders. So before we start, and while we have everyone on, we want to make sure that you all know about our roundtable discussion for next month, which will be focusing on the health of downtown on April 15th, Friday, April 15th. So make sure you mark your calendars and look for an email from the chamber soon with more details on that. So next, I will be handing it over to our other co-chair, Paget, who will introduce our speaker. So Paget, please take it away.
Thanks, Desiree. Hey everyone, happy Friday. I'm Paget Pangeli, the social investments representative at Xcel Energy in downtown Minneapolis. I invited Andrea here because we have a relationship with them for the Women's Final Four, engaging our employees in volunteer activities. Our executive, Amanda Rome, is on the Women's Final Four executive board, and I was thinking about it being International Women's Month, and who better to speak than a wonderful person at Minnesota Sports and Events talking about Women's Final Four. So a little bit more about Andrea Graham that we have speaking today. She's Minneapolis-based, a brand experience consultant, currently partnering with Minnesota Sports and Events on the 2022 NCAA Women's Final Four. You may have encountered some of her work over the last few years at Surly Brewing Company's Festival Field, St. Paul Downtown Alliance's Party in the Park, the Rock What You Got, Pay Gap Comedy and Music Festival, and more. That's awesome. She was a 2019 Business Journal 40 Under 40 honoree and currently serves on the boards for the Great Lakes Association of Musicians and Artists and Twin Cities Catalyst Music. She's an active member of Minnesota Festival and Events Association and our local chapter of Women in Sports and Entertainment. When she's not putting together killer parties, you can find her in South Minneapolis, hanging with her partner Scott and their puppy Hank, who's probably getting muddy right now in their backyard, while trying to master Taylor Swift's Folklore album on piano. Jealous. So without further ado, let's introduce Andrea to present. And you got to unmute.
Hi, everyone. Oh, thank you so much. Being on mute is like the story of my life these days, as I'm sure is with everyone. But thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to see you all today. It's so fun to see so many familiar names and faces on this group as well. So thank you. Yes, as of today, we are 2 weeks out from the tip-off for the 2022 NCAA Women's Final Four. It is so exciting for numerous reasons. Of course, it's huge and it's coming to Minneapolis and it's such a big year and we have such a great chance for Paige Beckers to come home and just so much awesome excitement happening around the tournament. But it's also a very historic year for the tournament. So on a number of things, it is the first year that the NCAA has been running their zero-based budget to ensure equity between the men's and the women's programs. So there's been a lot of changes to this year's program to enhance the student athlete experience and emphasize the audience experience. It is also the first time since 2019 these athletes will have an audience at their big tournament. So, you know, 2020, the tournament was canceled altogether. Last year, the entire, not just the tournament, all of March Madness was held in a bubble in San Antonio, as I'm sure everyone saw in the news. So this will be the first time. Also, the fans have been together in so long. So it is a very, very just exciting time, and we're so excited. And so we have some really awesome stuff to tell you about that's happening in the city over the next few weeks that we'd love to see you at as well. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about Minnesota Sports and Events. So many of you may have not heard of this organization before. Minnesota Sports and Events is our state sports commission. So the goal of this commission is to bring all of the big events that we want to draw to town: Super Bowls, Final Fours, Big Ten, World Cup, Special Olympics. This commission's goal is to bring everything into the state. So we were formed shortly after the men's Final Four in 2019. The goal of the commission was to have a central anchor point to really own these events, because what we found after Super Bowl in 2018 and then after men's in 2019 is that we would have all this incredible talent and we would build these teams and they would do so much work and learn so much, and then the team would completely disperse after it was done. So we would lose a lot of lessons learned. People would move on to different projects. Not everyone would come back to do the next event. And so to keep more of a consistent record and help really build Minnesota's reputation of just being a destination and like the right host for these events, we formed this commission. So that way we have a targeted approach and strategy to bringing all of these events to Minnesota. So with that being new, with us being new, there's also still a lot of moving parts in getting us built and up and running. So here's a kind of an example of everyone that makes up Minnesota Sports and Events through our boards and everything. So all of our local sports teams have representation with Minnesota Sports and Events, all of our professional teams. We also work with all of the CVBs in the area to just capture that tourism element and support those sales bids. And then our local partners. We couldn't do this obviously without our local corporate partners and all of the support and again, access and just resources that they bring to the table. So it is still a community effort. We just have a core hub of people that are pushing that all out. So we're not reinventing the wheel every time. So this is just an example of our executive board in case you were curious as to who is a part of it. And I'm happy to share this slideshow with you all afterwards as well if you want to take a look. So some things that Minnesota Sports and Events does is we focus on procuring the mega events that deliver impact. Our whole mission is to drive impact to Minnesota: economic impact, social impact, cultural impact. We just want to make a mark and make our communities stronger and better. So we also procure the team that executes these giant events. So we hold all of the talent that we bring in to then spider out and execute the local organizing committee. Is one thing a lot of people don't realize with the way our large events work is we have a local organizing committee. So we have a lot of really incredible people with day jobs who then take this on as their second job, which is no small feat, I'll tell you what. So we are also currently in the process of procuring our long-term funding. So with being a new state sports commission, and one of the reasons I'm currently just consulting with them is that most states, like if you look at Indiana or Florida or California, everywhere has a large state sports commission and city sports commissions that have government funding and steady corporate funding to bring in all these events. And currently right now, the way that we have been executing all of our large events is by independently fundraising for each of them. So for Super Bowl, we had to raise $60 million. For men's Final Four, we had to raise $30 million, and then for women's, we needed to raise $4 million. But normally in places with more established sports commissions, a lot of that funding comes from a long-term model. So that way it's more focused on the execution than on the fundraising. But then one of our missions, along with getting all of these events here, was to create an ongoing legacy. So that way the events don't just show up as a blip on the radar and then move on to the next thing. So we create legacy initiatives for each of our events to ensure that there is something for the future generation to look to as an example and to grow from. And I'll talk more about what we're doing with Women's Final Four as we get into those details. So just a little more information about us. We're currently working on developing our operational organization, so that way we can keep working on this. We have an incredible amount of bids out right now for future events. And as I was just telling Desiree, Paget, and Zach before we logged on, we actually in April and May have a bunch of announcements coming out about some new events that we're bringing to town in the next few years. So the train is moving. So we're just trying to make sure we can keep everything running smoothly. So here's an example of some of the economic impact that we have coming up, because the goal of Minnesota Sports and Events, as I mentioned, is to impact our community through definitely with economic impact. So Winter Classic, the estimated impact was $18.5 million. They're still finishing some of that analysis. With Women's Final Four, we're expecting about $22 million. And then the list just keeps going. So we are currently a finalist for Special Olympics USA Games in 2026, as well as Big Ten women's basketball for the next 2 years and Big Ten men's basketball. So we should have some stuff that could be getting announced pretty fast. That would be you'd start seeing it everywhere right away, which would be really exciting. And then again, we are currently in progress on all of the events you see on the right of your screen. So just lots going on. It's a very exciting time. That was definitely one thing that the pandemic didn't stop, is people kept planning for the future. So these bids have been in progress. It's kept going. And so we are just ready for it. So one of the reasons that Minnesota, we believe, needs us is we just need that edge and to be competitive, and we need to just hone that narrative and really drive it home. We don't want to lose anything for, a hiccup with miscommunication or anything like that. We really want to make sure everyone knows that we are here and they want to be here. So we are currently known in very familiarly with the women's sports industry as like the go-to place for all women's sports events, which is awesome. And that is in no small part due to our awesome partners at the Minnesota Lynx and also the University of Minnesota and the priority they have placed on just equitable experiences for those athletes and those audiences. So very exciting. So let's actually just jump. We have a lot going on if you want to learn more about our funding models and all of that, but we're going to jump right into Final Four. So we had some really awesome opportunities come up with Women's Final Four, which not only was it happening in 2022, which is the 41st anniversary of the Women's Final Four, which they're celebrating as their 40th anniversary, since they didn't really get to do that thanks to the pandemic. But 2022 is also the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And so we had some really awesome opportunities to not only bring the tournament to town, but also use that opportunity to engage our local partners and celebrate 50 years of Title IX and its impact on our state and our region. So we also are using it with our community to really amplify and bring back all of the thousands of volunteers we have in this state and get the community involved, because that is also one of the big, amazing pieces we have here in Minnesota that drives this business here, is that our volunteers and our community is so engaged. Everyone wants to be a part of it. Everyone wants to be involved and know what's going on. So We have had some incredible partners step up to make Women's Final Four happen. So this is our collection of partners for 2022, and we are so grateful for them. Each of them is activating in their own independent way, which is very exciting as well. So we can really see their personal touch on each piece of the tournament. As Paget mentioned, Excel has been working with us, and that they have some incredible activations that they have pulled together and are creating for our Title IX celebration out at Mall of America that we'll talk about, as well as just, which I'm sure many of you on here are part of these organizations. So thank you to all of you for everything that you have done to make this tournament happen. So these are our honorary co-chairs for the 2022 Women's Final Four. So Beth Ford, the CEO of Land O'Lakes. We have an incredible C-suite of women in Minnesota. There are so many incredible, powerful women here, and it has been amazing to work with them and learn from them and just capture their energy and drive it all the way through. Of course, Coach Lindsay Whalen from the University of Minnesota Women's Basketball. She has been all of our coach through this whole process. We just had our first volunteer orientation last weekend, and she came and just pumped that team up just like she does her players every week. So it was awesome. And then Coach Cheryl Reeve of Minnesota Lynx and the U.S. Women's National Basketball Team. She has been an invaluable partner, and her whole Lynx team really has honestly shown up as almost a subcommittee of our local organizing committee and has been just driving so much intention and resource and audience to the Women's Final Four. They're just an incredible organization. If you are not fully familiar with the Lynx or not a basketball person, they're still an incredible organization to just learn about and get involved with. It's very inspiring to hear about how they operate. So some things for you guys to know. 2022 will mark the 41st year of our Final Four championship. It's also the 50th year celebration of Title IX. We haven't hosted the Women's Final Four here in Minnesota since 1995, which is pretty outrageous. Most cities see it come back fairly more regularly than that. And considering we are one of the only cities in the country, I think there's maybe a maximum about 24 cities that are large enough to host the Women's Final Four, just between hotel rooms and arena requirements. This is pretty crazy that they haven't been here for 26 years. Also crazy that 1995 was 26 years ago. So dates for your calendar. The games are April 1st and April 3rd. So there will be 2 games on Friday and one championship game on Sunday. It's all happening at the Target Center, and the Target Center's renovation and all the work they've done, especially during COVID while they couldn't be open. It is such a premier venue for an event exactly like this. We are so lucky to be working with them. Their new general manager is such a team player. He has pulled out all the stops. Just the team at Target Center is amazing. So if you haven't been there in a while, definitely go check it out. And we are expecting over 50,000 people to come to town for this tournament. So we'll have a full arena, but then everyone coming to town to be a part of the ancillary events that happen around it. So some things that you should know, some things to highlight. So the championship game for this year's Women's Final Four, this is also a new thing this year. They moved it to prime time on ESPN. This is in part because of the baseball strike, because there was not a Sunday night baseball game, but by moving the game to 7 p.m. on that Sunday, we are gaining almost 800,000 more views, which is just amazing. It's so exciting for our city, for women's basketball in general, for these students. And so the amount of attention that's about to be on Minneapolis, and it's already starting, is just very inspiring and exciting. So lots of views, lots of attention, lots of media coverage. We'll have national and international media on site. And yeah, people all over the world will hear all about the championship in Minneapolis. So some awesome events, and I know this is the part you guys really want to know about. So we have some incredible things happening, and the best thing about Women's Final Four is that everything that's open to the public is free. So this is a great opportunity if you want to check out Town, which is happening at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It's open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like 9 to 5. It's got some incredible activations, really fun activities, you know, definitely testing your sports strength, learning more about women's basketball, and just really fun celebrations of the Final Four. So, and it's perfect for all ages. So definitely come down and check it out. On the Saturday of Women's Final Four weekend, we will, which we call Super Saturday, we will have a big concert, and tickets to that are free. It's a national headliner, and they have not announced them yet, but we are hoping for that very early next week. So definitely keep your eyes out, because that'll be a quick grab of a ticket as soon as that is announced. And again, totally comp, you just got to put your name on the list so we know you're coming. We've been taking the championship trophy around town since last fall. So there are lots of options. You can also check it out on our website, and I'll drop our websites in the chat so that way you can make sure to find us. But get your picture with the trophy. This weekend we'll be at the Minnesota State High School girls basketball tournament if anyone's going, at Williams Arena. It's super fun tournament. I will actually be there, so come on by and say hi if you're there. And then we have Bounce. So Bounce is our Saturday night, or not Saturday night, Sunday afternoon family and kids event. So we have space for 2,000 kids, anyone under 18. So even in a stroller, you register, you get a t-shirt, you get your own game ball, and you just dribble your basketballs around the convention center in a parade route. There's pep bands and all the mascots and the Skull line and so much happening. It's food trucks, like it's going to be so fun. So if you have kids or nieces and nephews or friends with kids, definitely sign up for that and come check it out. It's just gonna be a really fun day outside, lots of space, so also people can be safe and create their own experience. And then over on First Avenue in front of Target Center, before each game, we'll have our party on the plaza. So Friday and Saturday, actually, even though there's no game, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll have party on the plaza, which similar to what we did for the NHL Classic. Just take over, a big block party, lots of fun stuff happening, music, all of that great stuff. So definitely come check that out. A few more things that we have going on Saturday afternoon. They're doing an open practice with the players, so you can come watch those teams practice from 12:30 to 3:30. You know, catch your favorite team or player. We also have Beyond the Baseline, and this might be a big interest to you, this group. So inside Town, there is a section called the Beyond the Baseline Lounge, and that is actually a young professionals networking lounge where there will be different panels every day with different professionals in the sports organizations, just talking about their different experiences. And so they are publishing that whole schedule, I believe, next week. So definitely check that out. It's going to be really awesome. And then just a great way to also just meet new people who are in town for the tournament and get hyped and excited. So yeah, we've got a lot going on. It's going to be super fun. So this is just some of the branding that you'll see everywhere. If you are traveling in and out of the airport anytime in the next 2 weeks, you'll notice that MSP is decked out. So we have an incredible airport commission, and they are such great partners with us. And they're getting ready for, you know, accepting all of the players when they fly in and all of that fun stuff. So it's going to be really, really awesome. But yeah, one other thing that I want to make sure you guys know about is, so in addition to our Final Four events, is we also, because of just the way fundraising works with the NCAA and college sports and all of that, we had to create a linear track for our partners to get engaged with for that fundraising. So we decided to focus on celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And so we have been putting on, since last summer, some incredible events and programs and activations. So the Land O'Lakes Title IX Championship Tour that you see with the bus is just a really fun mobile activation. We've taken it all over the state and played with all different audiences and communities. We have an honor roll and a list of honorees of change makers in the world of Title IX that we worked on with the Tucker Center for Research on Women and Girls in Sport. They put together just an incredible list of influential humans that we've been able to engage at all these events and celebrate with them. We'll have our Title IX Host House, which is our VIP hub for hospitality the weekend of the tournament. That's happening over at Target Field. We'll have the Title IX celebration out at Mall of America. So that is a full mall takeover for the whole week. That really, it's performances, it's activations, it's basketball clinics with the links, it's a bunch of different teams coming down. We have a whole fun speaker series session with Michelle Young of The Bachelorette. If y'all are Bachelor and Bachelorette fans, she'll be there on Tuesday the 29th. So just some really great stuff. And then we'll have an on-the-court sneak preview party happening so people from our local partners can come in and get a preview of court. And then we also have our Leadership 9 and our speaker series tracks that have been running since last July, which is conversations from leaders across our awesome community. And so that program will actually morph into something new following Final Four and become an ongoing program through Minnesota Sports and Events with different community conversations. So I am sure we will be partnering with the Chamber on some stuff in the future as well when it comes to that. So sorry, I'm throwing a lot at you really fast, and I want to make sure you guys have time to get to the rest of your agenda as well. But just some example photos from the championship tour. Such an awesome summer. It was so great. Some stops were cold, but overall it was super fun. And that bus will be out at Mall of America during the Title IX celebrations. So definitely step by and check it out. I know not everyone goes to the mall anymore. I know I personally hadn't until we started putting this together, but they are really awesome partners, and there's a lot of really cool new space there that we get to use. So definitely come check it out. So yeah, again, like I mentioned about our speaker series, we've had some incredible speakers partner with us. Corey Berry from the CEO of Best Buy, Beth Ford, Leah B. Olson, Maureen Bausch. And same with Leadership 9, Ann Bancroft, Carly Knox, Lynn Holzman, and all of these videos live on our website as well. So I will make sure you guys have access to all of those in case you wanted to check out some of the topics. We've really covered some great stuff. But yeah, and again, into the Title IX celebration, just some really awesome stuff. Daily open play is, like I said, we've got some Jock Jams themed drag shows as well. If that is up your alley, definitely come check that out. So it'll be a super fun week actually. That runs the 27th through the 3rd. So one last thing before we go, we also have an advisory council who has been helping us pull together and give different perspective to the tournament. It was really important to us that we gathered a collection of leaders from around the state just to really have perspective, so that way we weren't operating in a vacuum, because when things get so busy and so heavy, it's so easy to very quickly go tunnel vision. So one incredible thing that our Equity Assurance Committee on that council has done is push some really incredible Indigenous representation initiatives forward with the NCAA. So for the first time ever at the Minnesota Final Four, the NCAA will host their first ever Indigenous land acknowledgement, and are hoping to create the blueprint for all their future tournaments to incorporate this as well. So that will happen during the first semifinal game, and they will also do a halftime takeover at that game, which is really cool. But then there will also be video capture and coverage that will be shared in arena the whole weekend. They also are hosting a session, letting us host a session with the Basketball Coaches Association about Indigenous recruitment and coaching, because currently less than 0.2% of athletes and coaches in the NCAA are from Indigenous communities. And considering how important sports and basketball in particular are to Indian country, it's kind of ridiculous that they aren't even considered. So we are really excited to have those conversations, and we've been collaborating with the NCAA's DE&I department, and they have been amazing. And so the NCAA really is putting in a lot of work to drive equity throughout their whole tournament experience for both the student athletes, but also the partner cities and the audiences. So lots of great things coming out of it, and it will be exciting to see the ongoing impact past the tournament. So yeah, oh, and then the legacy programs that we talked about. So we, out at Hall STEM Academy in North Minneapolis, we're currently building a new dream court for them out in their outdoor space. So brand new basketball court. There's also an outdoor classroom going in, and we're completely refurbishing their playground. So this will be a really awesome enhancement to that community. And then our legacy committee through our advisory council is also planning all the ongoing programming to keep that court alive past Final Four, so it doesn't just fall flat after that. So yeah, lots of great things going on. I know that I am probably over my time, but if you want to get involved, we'd love to have you attend these events. We are still looking for volunteers, but definitely just come check out the weekend, be there, get the kids you know signed up for Bounce. And then we are actually following Final Four. We will be building a board of commissioners with our local partners and local community members. So if that would be something you are interested in being a part of, so you can be in the know and help bring some of these things to town and just be a part of the ongoing conversations, definitely reach out. We'd love to get you on the list as all that information comes together, because it'll be a really great way to just really have influence on what's coming to your city and how it's coming to your city. So I believe that's what I've got. So definitely check us out on social media. That is what we will be, where we will be sharing all of the updates over the next 2 weeks. And I will drop all of these links and handles and everything I've mentioned in the chat before I take off today. But thank you all so much for having me. It's so great to see you all, and I think I covered everything. But yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you so much, Andrea. For a quick Q&A, a couple people in the chat are asking, Catherine from Move Minneapolis wants to know if there are any impacts to transportation.
Yes, so we have been partnering with Metro Transit on a lot of the downtown transportation, and they have actually set it up in their app so that way anyone during Final Four weekend, I'm not sure the exact start date off the top of my head, but they'll be doing $1 fares the whole weekend, so very easily accessible on the train and on the bus, on anything headed downtown. And then we are not anticipating too much of an influx in traffic, only because usually when Final Four audiences come to town, they get into their hotels and then they just anchor. They don't really leave. They kind of check out the grounds around them. So downtown will be foot traffic heavy for sure, which will be great.
And then he wants to know, wondering where other state sports commission funding comes from. Could, for instance, legalizing sports betting be a funnel, which we were just talking about before this started?
Yeah, so a lot of states, like Florida in particular, they just have it included in their annual budget. So there is some stuff in the legislation right now that includes us, but it's not full funding. But like I want to say, and I would really have to fact check this, but I want to say like the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, because also those bigger cities down there that pull a lot of their own sports events. Sometimes their like local budget is like $12 million annually that they just get from some government funnel. So, but a lot of it comes from the state, and they come up with different mechanisms to make that happen for them. So we are hoping that as the sports betting stuff comes, that we would get a piece of the pie. We just are not to those details quite yet.
Perhaps I can, this is Doug Carnival. I'm on the board of Minnesota Sports.
There you
go. And we have been working with the legislature and the leadership down there to see if we can find some funding long-term to help promote these activities. As you know, the whole purpose of Minnesota Sports and Events is to try and put an organization together that lives on between major sporting events, so that we don't kind of disappear and then have to be recreated every time we want to bid on a major event. So there are quite a few bids in the pipeline right now. we've got quite a few bid events coming up that have been signed on. And we're now talking to the legislative leaders to see if we can have them help partner with the private sector to put enough money into an organization that can keep going and doing this work. So it's in the works. It's always difficult to convince the legislature to do anything. I spent a lot of time down there, so but we're working on that right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. So glad you could be here. Please tell me if I
Sorry,
said anything else incorrect.
No, but you're right about a lot of other states like Texas and you mentioned Florida. Michigan apparently just passed some legislation to put a major amount of money into their sports and events organization. So Indianapolis obviously has invested heavily in this activity and has been very successful. So to compete with a lot of those states that have recognized the value of an organization like this to continue to bring big events here to help tourism as well as the metro area, not only just the metro area, but outstate as well. I mean, the Ryder Cup is an example of where we not only promote the Twin Cities for that particular event, but try and convince folks that there's a lot of great golfing outstate here in Minnesota. So that ties nicely with the tourism activities, and we're working closely with that group as well.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And then, Andrea, I see that you put the websites to check out the events. So do they go to one place for certain events and another site for other events?
Yes. So if you go to our minnesotasportsandevents.org website, you'll find all of our Title IX platforms there. It'll redirect you to that. You can also find all of our volunteer information there if you'd like to volunteer. If you go to the NCAA Women's Final Four website, you can find all of the details about the ancillary events that are happening downtown, like Tourney Town, Beyond the Baseline, Bounce, Party on the Plaza, the Super Saturday concert. Those all live within them. And then WFFMPLS.com is our local microsite for Women's Final Four. And that has more details about our community involvement, everything that we're doing historically to impact our city. It'll give you some history of the tournament in Minnesota, as well as links to volunteer opportunities as well. So just with the way everything is structured in these tournaments, everything kind of has to live in a few different spots, but it is all easily findable and Googleable, I promise. Yes. So Zach, I just saw your comment pop up. So Beyond the Baseline. So this is an awesome program that the Women's Final Four hosts at every event. So it happens in Tourney Town. They have so inside the convention center, they will be finalizing the hours and everything getting published next week, but really from 9 to 5, they will have an ongoing just series of panels and conversations that people can stop by to check out. So I know that they are doing a conversation with Leah B. Olson and a bunch of like the Lynx players on, life after sports. They are coordinating a conversation with Dr. Nicole Lavoie of the Tucker Center and a bunch of our Title IX honorees around just the importance of Title IX and all the work that we have done, but also how much further we have to go. So a lot happening there, but it will happen each day. It's free. You literally just go to Tourney Town, walk in. It'll be very highlighted in the space. You won't be able to miss it. But the schedule is shaping up awesome. I'm excited for them to announce it. So Paget and Zach, I will send it your way when I see that release come out so you can share it with this group as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So for the next 10 minutes, please stick around. We're gonna go into breakout rooms, kind of talk about what we heard today, introduce yourselves to a small group, and we will reconvene at 8:55 just for a little wrap up. So Zach, you can sort us into groups whenever you're ready. Otherwise, thank you so much again, Andrea.
To see you all. Yeah, thank you
Happy
so
Friday.
much. Happy Friday.